podcast is proudly sponsored by Café Postal. Café Postal is located in the historic Rail and Commerce Building in Little Italy neighborhood of Omaha, Nebraska. Established in 1926, Café Postal was originally used as a mail depot and was a hub for mail all over the country. Located conveniently across the street from Union Station, which is now the beautiful Durham Heritage Museum, it is a true glimpse into the much overlooked history of Omaha, Nebraska. After its closing in the 1970s, the building sat vacant until 2017, when it was converted into the beautiful cafe along with several other offices throughout the rest of the building. They offer a huge variety of breakfast, lunch, and pastry items prepared and delivered daily by their sister company, Attitude on Food. One visit to Café Postal and it is clear that every menu item is passionately staff curated and artistically prepared with love and expertise. Café Postal is also available for private events, featuring exclusive catering and event coordination by the Omaha local Attitude on Food. Perfect for your next big celebration. If you're in Omaha, Nebraska, head over to Café Postal for a modern experience in a historic venue and enjoy some Midwest hospitality. Oh, and be sure to tell them the boys from Triple R sent you. Now, back to the show. Hey, all you wanderlusters and hometown heroes. This is Remain, Roam, Return, podcast that pits your hometown lifestyle against the allure of far-off frontiers. In the show, we are going to try to settle the age-old debate on whether it is better to be the local legend or the one that got away.
And we are your hosts. I am Christian.
And I am Damien.
And together, we are going to spend each episode trying to discover which lifestyle truly is best. Is it better to stay close to the roots that raised you, or to fly away into the unknown?
Yep, and during these conversations, we will be discussing personal experiences and asking guests for their input to decide once and for all whether it is better to remain, roam, or return. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Triple R podcast.
Yes, remain, roam, return.
Yeah, yes.
That is, you are at the right place. You, have you ever just, walked into a room and been like, this doesn't seem right? And then usually the case is it isn't right.
That's usually what happens when people enter a room and I'm in it. They go, oh, shit, this isn't
the right
place. They
see that. They're like, I can't be in the same room. Is this the DMV? Because that's the only time me and this man can be in the same vicinity. Or every time I walk into a gas station. Like,
the
gas
guy
station
behind the cash register always looks like me, and you're like, God damn it, dude.
No, just any gas station you go to. It can be or for our guest, petrol station. Is the great equalizer of any place. Like, you could be in the most swanky, posh area, and you walk into a gas station, you're like, these people can't live around here. Like
that, dude. The DMV is a great equalizer, along with the urgent care.
Oh God,
that's no matter where you are. You walk into either of those places, and you're like, all right, I'm not the only goblin here. That's great.
Especially as millennials, our guests won't get that, but having a primary care doctor, it just doesn't exist for majority of millennials. Emergent care is my doctor.
Yeah.
Which is just, it's, might as well introduce our guest.
Yes, we mentioned him a couple of times, and actually, I would love to get to that part because I actually have a beef with him already. So let's go ahead and get the intro out of the way. Yes. Today's guest is Luke McAuley. We love you, buddy. Thanks for coming on.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
But before we get into anything, I am already irritated by you.
Oh, no.
And I got to bring this up.
Uh-oh.
What have I done?
All right. So we knew that you were coming on. My wife is an avid listener of this podcast.
Right.
I told her that you were coming on, and she goes, oh, okay, let me hear some of his music. And the first song that we listened to, you made her cry.
Oh, no.
You fucking asshole, dude.
I've done it. That's my goal in life, to make people cry.
You've gone and done it now.
Oh, that's great.
So that's our first introduction to you made my wife cry.
What song was it?
It was Starlight.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yes.
I haven't had that reaction from that yet.
Yeah, so because we were sitting out in our backyard last night, just hanging out, having some drinks, and it was a beautiful, clear sky, big, bright moon out, all the stars. And so I think it just coalesced
Yeah, perfect scenery for the song.
Yeah, his backyard is like what you would think of like Hollywood, Los Angeles backyard.
Oh,
It's
really?
just he has all like this amazing pool. We've talked about it quite a bit on this podcast, and I just visited him. But I will give Damien major props on this. Half the reason I hang out with him still and still
Just
do
for the
this
garden.
podcast is so I can go to this back. It's just it's a like amazing pool garden, and then he's like on a giant hill that overlooks down, like you can see downtown Los Angeles from
Perfect.
like where he lives.
That sounds great.
Yes, it's beautiful. So, anyways, all right, let's do a real introduction. Luke, thank you for coming on, man. Could you go ahead and give a quick introduction of yourself to people who may not know you?
Ooh, yeah, I mean, I'm an 18-year-old singer-songwriter from the UK. I play songs which are pretty, like, they can make people cry. Or, they're pretty chilled. I'm pretty chilled. That's all. I don't really know what to say, if I'm honest with you.
I love it. No,
introducing myself.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Where are you from in the UK? You mentioned you're from the UK.
Yes, I'm from a very little place called Devon, which is in the southwest.
That's not that. If it like, I've heard of it. I feel like it's not that small. I feel like Devon's
no, it's pretty big, but I'm from a very little place in Devon.
Okay. Gotcha.
I'm from a village called Braunton, which is like tiny, and it's in the middle of nowhere, right next to the sea, and like hours from any sort of human life.
There you basically go. Which is probably good inspiration for songwriting then.
Yeah, it's great. It is nice, but it's one of those places where in the summer, when the sun's shining, it is the best place to be. When it's raining and miserable, horrible.
Yeah.
So what, 3-4 days out of the year?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, perfect. I'm getting a good visual now. I got it.
It looked. I was watching some Premier League this morning, and both me and my wife were commenting, like, it looks really sunny there. This has to be a good day.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the last like week and a half has just been pure sun, which is great.
No,
we don't get it a lot, so it's been a nice change.
So that. Are you still in Devon then? I guess
no.
Okay.
No, I moved last September. I moved up to East Sussex, so that's kind of nearer to London. So I'm like an hour out, which is great. Mainly, I did it for work and just for music, basically. Because when I was in Devon, it took me 5 hours on the train to get up to London. Which if in perspective of like America, that's like nothing because you guys do like massive drives to get everywhere. But
that's
5 hours
to the grocery store.
Exactly, yeah. But 5 hours was just too long because my producer lives in London, so I was going up there to record my songs, and it just like wasn't worth it, paying however much for trains.
As we've joked about with some other guests, the train prices are just ridiculous now. Not like me and Damien have ever experienced it, but apparently that has been a big talking point.
Yeah, I mean, I was quite lucky when I was in Devon. I got like half price because I had the 16, 17 rail card. But now that I'm 18, it's not the same. Everything's double the price. It's horrible.
Yeah. Absolutely. So actually, I wanted to ask you real quick because Abby and I, my wife Abby, were talking last night while listening to your music. We were wondering, in today's landscape, it being 2025 now, you mentioned you have a producer who lives in London.
Yeah.
I guess I kind of anticipated singer-songwriters, especially now. I guess I figured they were kind of taking the power back and kind of recording at home. Is that not the case?
For me, no, because I'm pretty incompetent when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. But I kind of only started this solo project of mine last year. So towards the start of, the end of 2023, the start of 2024 was when what year are we in now? Yeah, 20, I've got confused then. So it's kind of end of 2023, start of 2024 was when I started my solo project. Because before that I was in a band for like 4 or 5 years, and then we recorded all our stuff at home. I just about got by doing that, but when it got to this kind of stuff, I wanted to spend a bit more time on the actual performing the songs and writing the songs rather than having to produce them myself and do all that kind of stuff. And luckily, my brother knew someone who was an amazing producer, and I've now been working with him for all my songs. So,
right on.
Yeah, I'm basically, more of the story, I'm rubbish at that kind of stuff.
Okay. That's okay. We have technical difficulties just about every episode. As a matter of fact, I'm sitting here looking at the screen right now. I'm like, I don't know if this is even recording at this point. So we'll see. I don't see the time. We're just gonna go with it, and we'll see what happens.
We're good on my end. So, with that, most of the people we've interviewed surprisingly a high amount of British bands, which you had mentioned. Some of. I think you shouted out Neil from Blue Nation, which I thought that's what would make Damien cry, would be finding out that you were friends with Neil.
And,
I'm very excited about that.
And Damien's just acquaintances with him.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm very jealous.
Neil's a great guy. I mean, because I've only met him in real life once at a gig, but he's one of those people who he is just an amazing person. Because one of my first gigs in London, they were playing the same gig.
Right on.
And then since then, he's kind of not taken me under his wing, but he's given me so much advice, so many tips to releasing, and because they play shit tons of gigs. They're everywhere and anywhere. Do you know what I mean? So having him to kind of fall back on for, any sort of help that I need is amazing. He is such a lovely guy.
Yeah.
That's great. Not only I'm sure with the music, but just with life in general.
100%.
He seems to really have it all pretty well figured out. So that's You told me that you found us through Neil, and I was like, no way. That's so cool, man.
Yeah. And then also I've got you introduced Scott from Entropy.
And
he lives 40 minutes from me.
Wow.
And I've played 2 or 3 shows with him, and I met him when I was in my band before this. So, he's a great guy as well.
Yeah, shout out Entropy. Wait, what was the band that you had before?
I was in a band called Region.
Region. Okay.
We just two mates from school, basically. We released an EP, did a few shows here and there, and then it just got to the point where it just wasn't clicking, and I took my music in a different direction, and I think they're doing stuff. I've no idea if I'm honest.
So you mentioned you're only 18, so you started that band fairly young then, right?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I started playing when I was 10, so 8 years ago. Wow. When my brother and sister bought me a bass guitar for my birthday.
Oh.
Which is I think a bit everyone's like, it's a bit of a weird instrument to buy a 10-year-old.
I was about to say, of all, not just an acoustic guitar. I always played bass because I grew up playing upright bass and a orchestra, and so it just made sense. They're like, oh yeah, Christian's just a bass because that's what he knows how to play. But just be like, oh, here, 10-year-old, have a bass, make you a weirdo for the rest of your life.
Well, exactly, that's it. I think the only kind of reason I can put behind it is that my brother plays drums. He's a touring drummer, and my sister can play. Well, she can play guitar. She can play anything. My sister, and she's also really good at singing. My dad did play the guitar, and then my mum played piano. So I think to finish that kind of family band, the bass was the only instrument missing. So I guess that was the only thought process behind that.
I was about to say, that makes sense. As soon as you said your brother was a drummer, it's like, oh, your brother was just like, oh, I can easily find the other. We're just going to make a family band, the Partridge Family. Yeah,
and we have done before. We've played together all of us before, so it's
that's actually really
it's always interesting.
So you grew up kind of with music in your house, it sounds like then.
Yes, yeah, always. And also the community I grew up in my little village was such the music scene was surprisingly big for such a small village. And we had loads of open mics and loads of people who played to a really good level. So it was quite nice growing up in that kind of world.
Yeah, can you kind of take us back there? I know, honestly, you're only 18, so it wasn't that long ago. What was it like growing up in your hometown? like running around the neighborhood, or I guess the village, and causing trouble, or what?
Not causing trouble for me. I was a little goody two shoes. Yeah, no. I was the problem we have is because it's such a small village. Is my mum knew everybody, so if anyone saw me out, they'll be like, "I'll message my mum later. Oh, we saw Luke out earlier on." Yeah. So basically, there's spies all over the village. Is how I see it.
Yeah.
And my mum's she's a teacher at the local primary school, and she has been since I was born. So basically, she knows everybody. Which makes it incredibly difficult to not be a goody two shoes.
Yeah. Which means she also knows your friends. Mm-hmm. So it's not like you can act up and blame it on your friends because she knows them too.
Exactly. Yeah. It was it's an interesting time.
So what did you do? What did you do for fun?
I play a lot. Or I used to play a lot of tennis. Majority of my time was playing tennis. I think I spent probably about 80% of my time down in Devon at the tennis courts. Just because I used to play in all sorts of weather, like sun, rain, hail, thunder, ice, snow, anything.
That's all in one day too, which is
exactly. Yeah, in England it is 100%. But yeah, that was kind of all I did in life, and then music as well, and then school, which is just annoying. No one likes school.
Which is the school, like, I think we've talked about it a little bit on this podcast before, like, but school in the UK, especially like what you call college, what we call high school, is so different, and like the whole like GSEs and A levels, where it's like essentially at the age of like 14, they're like, hey, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? Because you got to choose now.
It's it's really odd one.
And so, did you know, like, kind of going with that theme, did you know like it was going to be music, or did you like, oh, I'm going to go to university, or I'm going to do something else, or was music kind of the goal?
Music's always been, like, since I started playing music, has been that kind of end goal. But I mean, even now, I'm not living off music, and there's no way I could. But I mean, so GCSEs, so that's secondary school for me. I did all right. I didn't excel in anything apart from music. And then college, I studied music as well. So 2 years of basically sitting around playing guitar, bass, and whatever. With a bunch of other musicians, which is great fun. But unfortunately, I went to a really small college. We had about 15 other people in my kind of year group.
Wow.
Really, really small because just music. And annoyingly, so I did my first year. My first year was fine. You got to the end of the first year, and they were like, "Funding's been pulled by the government, so your second year is the last ever year of this college, and now it's shut down," which is a shame.
Wow.
But then because of it shutting down, like half of my lecturers left after my first year. So the second year was like we had two lecturers doing everything. But also half the people left, which is like, some people would be like, oh yeah, half the people leave, and that'd be great because you get to kind of spend more time one-to-one with lecturers. But as good as that is, the whole part of I think going to college, especially music college, is meeting and being with other people. Because what they used to do is they used to put us in bands. The lecturers used to put us in bands, and we'd be in that band for the term and play an end of term gig with that band.
Dude, that's so badass.
Oh, it was really, really
like
cool.
This whole concept of this sounds amazing. Where like, this is what you want to do, and you get to focus on this. Like, you're not worried about taking an algebra test that
America could never.
Like half of our college high school experience is like taking classes that like never going to have to do. Like, me and Damien aren't doing math anymore. Like, I'm not.
I still multiply on my fingers.
Like, I'm not having to do at least math with like letters instead of numbers, or like chemistry. Like I'm not a chemist.
No, that's beyond me.
And so it's really cool. Like that is an option in the UK of being like, okay, this is what you want to do. Let's focus on this and actually make you successful leading up versus like here, you're lucky if you have like, we had like, I did music, I did orchestra, and I did like concert band, but like there wasn't anything like that was the closest you got, but like nothing like being like, oh, we're going to put you in bands. You're actually going to like sit down, write music and like produce this and whatnot. And so I think that's amazing.
Oh no, it was really good fun. Because a lot of the time it wasn't like all based on theory. It was basically all based on the industry, which is great. Like, so
That's incredible.
Yeah, exactly. So we did do things on like production and writing and like, I think, well, we didn't do any exams because it's music. You can't really do, unless it's theory, you can't really do exam music. So we were graded on like coursework. And that coursework was like, I think the last one I did was like, oh, you've got to write 2 songs. I was like, all right, done.
That's awesome. It was like, wait, I gotta ask, is that just a very rare situation, or is that pretty common throughout the UK?
I think it's
to have schools like that.
It's common. There's definitely loads of them, but it's because there's basically it wasn't A levels that I did. It was equivalent to A levels. So A levels is, I think you've got to pick like 2 or 3 subjects.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will pick like math, science, and whatever, and then they'll do the exams for that. But so mine was equivalent, and I didn't have to do any exams. It's just a little bit, more focused on less academic things, basically.
Yeah. Maybe that's why there's so many better British bands than American bands.
Well, you never know. I think it's a weird one because as much as it was very helpful going there, there's always going to be, because there's no guarantee that no one's going to look at a piece of paper and be like, oh, you've went to college for music, here's a sold out tour,
right?
Because that's not how it works. But I think it gave me so many like kind of lessons for music that I can input into building up my career.
Sure.
And I think the college I went to, the band The Vamps, I don't know if you heard of The Vamps. Yeah.
Yep.
So the drummer of The Vamps, he went to the college I went to.
Oh, okay.
And so some people do go through that kind of route, and then I guess just use the information they gain to put it into the industry. But it's
are your classmates still like pursuing music, or is it where some of them like could you tell just be like, oh, you're doing this so you don't have to do A levels?
I think some of them were like that because they were like guitarists who had started maybe like a year before joining the college, and obviously it's fair enough. They obviously enjoy doing music and they want to do it, but it was also because they didn't want to do anything else.
Right.
But they're like, out of the people who went to my college, maybe like 2 of them went to university to do music.
Okay, so that was gonna be one of my questions. Could you like still do that to go to university for like a music university?
Yes. Yeah. So you can go to uni for music. There's quite a few around here. Like it's called BIM is one of the big ones, British Institute of something. And that's a big one. There's like I think there's a BIM in America somewhere, but don't know why because it's British, but it's a weird one. But yeah, no, it's you can go and study at uni. I just didn't personally see the not the point of it, but I didn't see the benefit that I would get from it, purely because
I think
I'll be spending like however much money to go and do what I did for 2 years at college. So
right.
Yeah.
I think also like uni is beneficial to musicians if you're going to be like in a symphony or like a first chair violinist, and maybe in that aspect, or if you're going to study like more of the theory or like that kind of stuff. Because one of my first girlfriends, she went to uni for piano, and like that was originally like her goal was to do that stuff. She became a pastor, but that's a different story. But
took a left turn there.
It did take a very weird left turn, which also explains why I'm with my wife Abby now, because she's not a pastor.
Not yet, but there's still time.
But yeah, time. So I don't know about that. But yeah, A levels, yeah, or like because our buddy Keegan's gonna make fun of me because I always bring it up when we have British. But I did a semester at a uni in the UK, and everyone always was like, "Oh, what A levels did you take?" And I was like, "I don't know what that is."
Yeah, no.
They're just like they just let me. I took this weird test in America, and they're like, "You can go to uni," and then yeah. Then they're like, "Oh yeah, you can study whatever you want here, just whatever you want."
Oh yeah, because I could have, even though I did music in college, I could have then gone to uni and done like geography, probably.
Right.
I actually don't even know. I might have made that up, but that's what
it sounded good. Go with it.
Yeah, exactly. It sounded like I knew what I was talking about for a second there.
Yeah. So your mom. So you said your mom was a teacher. Was she your teacher?
No, luckily she was. God. And she was my brother's teacher. So my brother's 25, I think. So when he was in year 6, she was his teacher, and funnily enough, she was also my brother's girlfriend's teacher. So yeah, but yeah, she's.
So he grabbed you by the shoulders and said, "Listen, Luke, whatever you do, you have to go to a different school."
Well, I was in the same school. I don't think I could ever get away with going to a different school. Yeah. And there was a few times where she would, because we used to have like singing lessons in class where we'd all sit there as a class and sing some random songs from like the Lion King or something. And there was one time, or a couple of times, she walked in as we were mid song and would start singing and dancing. Obviously, I get really embarrassed. And then my mates were laughing at me.
Yeah.
And then the one time I remember the most is she came in, she did that. I was like obviously really embarrassed. And my mates were laughing at me. And she turned to my mates and was like, "I used to change your nappy, so I wouldn't laugh if I were you." And they got really embarrassed. So, there's benefits and then not so much. But
and then you wrote a song about it to pass your courses.
Well, exactly, yeah. Nappies. Yeah, no, it's it was an interesting time. But weirdly enough, I've gone into education now, so I'm a teaching assistant at a primary school.
Oh no way!
So somehow,
nice.
all of the trauma I had from being in a school with my mum, I've now gone to work in a primary school.
Let's just hope you don't carry on the curse of getting funding cut.
Well, hopefully, yeah. Fingers crossed. That'll be terrible.
So, it sounds like your family was with them being musical, like was very supportive, being like, "Hey, I want to do this for the rest of my life." Because I know for some people that can be hard, where their parents aren't as supportive, or family is like, "No, go get a education, or like go get like a trade
geography
job."
degree.
Yeah, exactly.
Geography degree. Haven't we figured out where everything is? Like
I'm pretty
sure. That's what the British did. They just went around and figured out where everything was.
And then took as much as they could on the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Good old James Cook.
Oh, my God. So, all right.
I actually had a real question in there.
Okay, go for it.
I asked him, I was like asking him about like, your parents were cool with you doing this, right?
Oh, okay. Absolutely, yeah. I think the one thing they said was like, as long as you can fund yourself and you're not going to be poor, then go do what you want. And they're very much like that. They will support whatever I choose to do.
And they let you move to London with that saying, right. As long as you can fund yourself. Well, I'm living in a bin.
Well, I'm really lucky because I'm living with some family friends of ours.
Okay, nice.
So I'm mega lucky in that kind of way of things. I'm not living in a little shed. Are
they keeping you in
London.
The cellar? It looks like they're keeping you in the cellar.
No, I'm in a. It's just a very old looking room.
He's getting really good use out of the Tesco meal deals.
Yes,
absolutely. Yeah, it's my lunches consist of sausage rolls from a packet, and that's about it.
Oh.
Yeah,
sausage rolls.
Greg's,
the little mini ones.
Greg's sausage rolls.
I don't like Greg's sausage rolls.
What?
I know. They're too salty for me.
Okay. Where do you prefer to get your sausage rolls from?
Well, I don't. I'm not a big fan of like bakery sausage rolls. So like the ones that are like from Tesco's, where it's the mini ones in a packet of like 30. I get them. I nail them all in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But then I like a steak bake. That's what I like from Greg's.
Oh.
I'm a steak bake guy rather than a sausage roll. But
yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
No, I ate a lot of Sainsbury sausage rolls while I was over there.
Yeah.
And like you get the giant pack and it's like 10p a sausage roll and you're like,
exactly.
This can't be quality meat, but it's delicious.
It's nice, exactly. It tastes alright.
Neither is Taco Bell, but we get that all the time. So
that's true.
Yeah, that's true. I think there's Taco Bells in somewhere in Britain now.
There are definitely some in London. I've watched some YouTube of
Christian's making notes of all the places around the world with Taco Bell so he can go.
Yeah, exactly.
That and one thing I do love is I love a cheeky Nando's. And
Nando's.
We have them in the States. And so I've gone like which they're in at least in Chicago because I have a really good buddy who lives in Chicago and I was like, hey, because Chicago's renowned for like they're like London in the essence of like they have an amazing food scene. You can get anything from around the world. And then I was like to my buddy, I was like, I want to go to this chain restaurant from the UK because it's not great, but it's pretty decent.
Nando's is one of my favorites.
Yes. And then so I played him a clip of I can't remember what British show about going for a cheeky Nando's, and he's like, "Okay, I get this now."
Yeah, absolutely. There's one that's just opened like half an hour from me, but I haven't been yet, so I need to go. I haven't got anyone to go with, so I'm like trying to find someone.
Yeah, I think I lived within a walking distance. So I lived in Bath, and I've learned to call it Bath because that's the past. Because when I said Bath, they were like, "We don't live in Bath, we live in Bath," and I was like, "Yeah, that sounds even worse to me."
Yeah, I can't remember what I call Bath. I don't know.
Depends how posh you are.
Well, exactly. Yeah. See, I mean, because Devon's not far from Bath. Devon's not. I've got some mates who are at uni there. It's a nice place. Really nice.
Yeah, it's way too fancy for a person like me to be in, which we've discussed before. It's expensive, as I later learned. But.
So Christian, would Luke be considered a roamer then, or would you classify that?
Yeah, I would say because he left his hometown. I would say he's a roamer because he went to the big city.
City boy.
As near as I can get without getting overwhelmed.
And that's such a hard definition of like what is the London Metro, because I would consider where you're at, Essex, kind of like in the London Metro. Like, how big of a bubble would you say of a train within like an hour, like 2-hour train ride?
I would say if you're within an hour on a train from London, you're close enough to say that you're from London. Or at least near London. Because I feel like if you're going like 2 hours out, it's like there's a wider range of places. But because an hour, you can, I could commute to London for work from here.
Right.
Whereas for like 2 hours, you wouldn't want to be driving 2 hours or getting a train 2 hours to go to work every day.
That's Los Angeles.
I was like, you're talking about language now.
Yeah. No, I visited Damien because he lives in like a suburb outside of Los Angeles, but we would just say he lives in Los Angeles. But it literally took me and my wife. My wife's also named Abby. His wife is an Abby as well.
Could get confusing.
But
my Abby's spelled the British way.
What, with an I and an E?
A-B, with an A-B-B-E-Y.
Yeah, more like a church,
like Abbey Road.
See, when I see the name Abby, I think of IE rather than E.
Oh, wow.
That's my wife.
Yeah. Interesting.
But the very popular way in the States is A-B-B-Y. And so everyone spells either of our Abbeys that way, but they're like, actually, no. But I'll have to tell my wife that she just spells hers the Britishy way. And
well, to me anyways.
Yeah. But it literally took us from getting from like the beach back to his house. Which really, how many miles is it? Like 20?
Maybe less than 30 miles.
It literally took us 2-hour drive.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And there's no like public transport, no train. Well, there is a train, but like not. It doesn't go places you want to go.
No, it goes. So it'll take you from one stop to the next stop, but it's not connected. So then you have to get off the train, walk a few blocks to go to the next train, get on that one, go one more stop. So it's just transfer after transfer. There's
Sounds like
no
a maze.
Singular line. Yeah, it's terrible.
No one takes it.
No, nobody. The only people who take it are the people who have to.
Yeah.
Like absolutely no other options. But what I was going to say is I think we have a trend right now on this podcast of anybody from the UK that we've had on has been Remainers and or returners.
Right, okay.
That's true.
So I wanted to ask you, since you're technically right now a roamer, do you have any plans or do you have any desire to go back to your hometown?
No. Not to live there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I mean, I'm going back next week just to see family.
Okay.
But I don't think I could ever, now that I've started living up here and I'm close to everything, I could never go back there. As much as I would love to see my mates,
right?
I couldn't do it. Yeah, just because
breaking the mold. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be different. It's just so far away from everything where I live, so it's like I can't see the point in building something up and then going back.
What's the closest like big city to you? Would you say?
To me, was a place called Exeter.
Okay, yeah, I have some mates that live there.
Oh, cool.
Which it looks pretty. Like
it's
there's a
pretty's one word.
So he's a big runner.
Right.
He's actually sponsored by ASICS, and so
cool.
which also I pronounce that the British way. We call it ASICS.
I would pronounce it ASICS as well.
I always heard ASICS.
I'm probably not very good for the British speaking anyway.
No, but he takes like really like pretty pictures of like the rolling country scene, like with like sheep in the background.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this looks pretty. And then you're like, Exeter, it's a shithole. Don't go.
It's like what I said earlier on about when the sun's out, it is the nicest place to be.
Yes.
When it's miserable, or when you go into the city centre of Exeter, which is a very small city centre, it's pretty. It's not very nice. It's not nice, but it's not nice. That doesn't make much sense.
I can see it. It's probably a little older. It didn't get bombed during war, so it didn't get rebuilt.
Yeah,
like London.
I mean, because when I went to college, my music college was in Exeter.
Okay.
So I used to get a train up because it's an hour and a half from where I live. So that's still like quite a distance.
You took that every day as a
I was only 3 days a week.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I was slacking off most of the time, 3 days a week. But because it's so weird because an hour and a half from where I used to live up to Exeter is now then an hour from where I live now to London, and like the difference between Exeter and London is insane. Because Exeter is like, I mean, I used to get there at like 7:30 in the morning. And there'll be drunk people throwing beer balls across the street in Exeter.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's that in London, but it's like, because it's so big, you don't see it as much.
Throwing bottles at trains, that's my idea of a fun pastime right there.
100%. I was tempted to join them a few times, just sitting there throwing bottles.
Yes.
Which actually brings me to my one question I alluded to earlier.
Here we go.
I was just thinking about this today, and I'm like, I really hope it's still a thing because it's one of my fondest memories of the UK is getting hard cider, very specifically Sainsbury brand hard cider in a 2-liter bottle.
I can't say that I've ever done that.
Oh, well then, I'm the degenerate here.
Yeah.
I'm being scolded by an 18-year-old being like, why are you drinking? At least go for, there was the Strongbow too, but it was like a pound more. And so like, it was it's.
We're talking to a man with standards here, Christian.
I mean, I'm not a cider fan, but I mean, Thatcher's is what I used to have. Thatcher's Gold and Haze. But then I think once you've thrown up on cider once, done. So obviously when you're like
pretty acidic.
Yeah. So I was like 16 or 15, with my mates, thinking of a really cool drinking cider, and then I throw up in my mate's dad's car, and then from then I don't think I've managed to drink cider ever since.
I was just more amazed I could buy alcohol in that quantity, like just a 2-liter bottle.
Oh yeah.
At 18.
I was just flabbergasted that could be, like,
yeah.
I couldn't imagine that in America. That would go very poorly.
I don't think I've seen a 2-liter bottle of alcohol, but then I haven't really bought much alcohol from a shop since I've turned 18. So maybe that's why. I need to look harder.
So I think you need to go to Sainsbury right after this call and go get a white brand label.
Well, Sainsbury's is shut at the moment because on Sundays at 4 p.m. everything shuts.
Oh wow!
I forgot about that. It's
painful. I kind of got out of I was doing some work and then I kind of got up. I was like, I'm gonna go to the shop and get something, and I googled it because just check it was open. Nope, nothing.
Wow,
it's a real shame.
Yeah.
Wait, so when you're up on stage, do you take a beer or anything up there with you?
I don't drink on stage. No.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that I think my dad told when my brother started playing shows. My dad said to my brother, "Don't drink on stage." I think more just because it's that kind of look. And
sure.
Some people will go for that look. So I used to be in a band where they were kind of proper rock and roll, like they would try and be Motley Crue, so they would have their bottles of Jack Daniels on stage with them and their beers, and I'll be there with my water. But it's also like I feel like there's been a few times where I've been playing with a band, they've had a few beers beforehand, and then the show's just not fun because they're making mistakes, they're playing a bit sloppy, and I just feel like it's a bit of a waste of a show sometimes. But yeah, it's one of those things where my dad's kind of inputted into our brains, and it makes sense to me.
Especially with you being a singer, you don't you don't want to do anything that could harm your voice, and alcohol does.
No, absolutely. I mean, I've been known to take a mug of like vocal tea on stage.
There you go.
I have tea and water, and that's about it. So, yeah.
How many times a week are you playing right now, on average?
So shows at the moment is for me this year. I'm doing a massive focus on releasing. So I'm releasing one song every month.
Yes.
So 12 songs this year, which is great. It's great fun. It's a lot of work though. Yeah.
That from? So actually, I had a question about that real quick. Sorry to interrupt you, but I did want to get to that anyway. So let's get into it.
Yeah.
So you're releasing one song every month for the whole year. So that's 12 full songs.
Yeah.
The question that I have about that is: are these all pre-written songs, or are you writing them in a month to release them?
There's quite a lot of them which have been written.
Okay.
Because I mean, I've probably got because last year I played a lot of live shows, so I've got at least an hour and a half, 2 hours worth of songs that are written. I think at the moment it's just choosing the right ones, but also because I am writing, I'm writing so much as well. Sometimes it's just like, oh, here's a new song that I've written. Let's do this one instead. So, for example, I've released 3 songs this year. Starlight, which was the first one, I wrote that.
So mad at you about that.
Makes wives cry.
Yep.
Makes wives cry. That was what I thought when I was writing it. But I wrote that one kind of towards the end of last year. Then we kind of recorded it in like November, December, and then got it out in January. And then Tough, which is the second one I released.
Love that song.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. That was one that I wrote, I think, in the summer of last year. And then we recorded that at the same time as Starlight. And then Pretty Stranger, I again wrote at the end of, I think I wrote it when I moved up here, so kind of September kind of time. It was the first one I wrote.
That's your most recent.
My most recent one, yeah. And so far, the one that's doing the best.
Yeah, it's great.
Thank you.
No.
I think Christian's favorite is You, right?
Yeah,
oh, really?
I think I described it as it's like a song you would hear in either a TV show or a film. Like it has that kind of I could see it very much being in a movie.
You know what I was thinking? Because you said that, and I was listening to it again, and then you said that, and then I go, you know where it would be? It would be in the like the segue when the guy loses the girl.
Yes,
and is
and
sitting
it's
here
raining.
and it's
and
raining.
He's walking through the
like
rain,
regretting every decision he ever made that caused him to lose her, and then it's like it's tuning him up to go get her back. That's what it reminds me of.
I think I did a TikTok about that once. I did a TikTok where there's a caption like imagine this song playing in the background of like, and then it was like one of those kind of scene moments.
Yeah, that's perfect. By the way, real quick, I think we should take a vote to find out what your new handle's going to be, and I think "Makes Wives Cry" should be it.
Yes, I think that's a great one.
Yes,
that's
your new merch.
Yeah, the only time I know that I've made someone else cry for my songs is before I released You. So you was my debut single. Before I released that, so this can be a long story, but
go for it. That's what we're here for, baby.
So so obviously my mum's a teacher, and there was this thing where all the local primary schools were gonna come together in a theatre, and they were gonna do like a music kind of showcase kind of thing where each school had their school choir, and they did like one or two songs, and then at the end they did two big songs together as all the schools. And so this must have been late 2023, and so I was out of college already, or maybe just finishing college. I have no idea, if I'm honest with you.
You sound like me. I can't keep track of any of the days.
COVID happened in my sense of time.
Yeah,
it's gone away.
It's gone out the window.
No idea.
No, but so my old secondary school music teacher, he reached out to me and was like, oh, because he was helping out at this thing, kind of playing music, like playing the guitar and all that kind of stuff. And the secondary school that I went to, they had a choir who were going to it as well. So he messaged me, was like, oh, do you mind helping kind of, be there as a kind of a person for the school, but also play bass for the choirs, and also then play two songs like as a special guest. So then I did that, and the special guest slot I did You on a piano, like a grand piano in the theatre, which is really, really cool. My old head teacher of my primary school, I went outside, and my mum said to me, he was like, Sam started crying during You. I was like, oh, all right, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Made a grown man cry.
You and John Lennon, my friend.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so that was quite I like that. Made me proud.
Well, that's cool, because I would assume he's probably crying because he is proud of you because he was your teacher.
I think that was it. Yeah, I think it was more the fact that he kind of like he's seen me from when I was really little, and he was as well as being the head teacher, he was my class teacher as well. So I guess that was probably it. Then seeing me on a stage playing, one of my own songs must have been pretty. Yeah.
Well, it's impressive, anyways. But then to, like you said, to know you from primary school that's pretty impressive. That wasn't a long story at all.
No, that was
to me, it was long, because I had no idea what I was going to say.
By our standards, that was a synopsis of the story.
That was a quick, to the point story,
That's
my
good.
friend. There was you didn't deviate from the story at all.
You didn't go over.
I tried my best.
Also, it sounds like is your mom like friends with the headmaster too? Especially because you live in like a small village. You probably he really probably knew you.
Yeah. He's only just left the school actually, and my mum's gone into the acting head. He's
cool.
Funnily enough, he's moved up to Brighton, which is near where I am. So
he's following you along on your journey.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's great.
Anyways, I interrupted you like usual, but I did ask originally how many times you're getting up and playing per week right now.
Yes. So at the moment, not a lot. I'm doing a little showcasey kind of thing in Brighton at some point in the next few weeks.
Okay.
and that's on like a
headmaster's going to be there for sure.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite a cool show actually because it's called Creative Connect. So basically, because Brighton's very very good place for music and kind of creatives, these events are being put on for creatives to go to and kind of network. So I went to one with my brother and my sister. We went to one last month, I think.
Okay.
And then, because again, this is somehow everything is related to my brother in some way.
Okay.
So
your brother's like Kevin Bacon. There's only 7 degrees to get to.
Yeah, exactly. So my brother, the person who was putting on these gigs, was the singer of my brother's first band. So he was from Braunton, where I'm from.
Okay.
So it was, it's cool to catch up with him. And then I messaged him a couple of weeks ago. I was like, "Oh, I've seen you put another one on. I'd love to just play a couple of songs." Yeah. So I'm doing that. And then I've meant to have a show at the end of this month in London, but that's been postponed because of some sort of venue issues. I don't really know. I just say yes to the gigs.
Yeah.
And then I've got one at the end of I've got
just
one
say
at
yes
the
to
end
everything.
of
I don't know.
Yeah, that's all I can do really. But I can't pick and choose.
Right.
But I've got one at the end of May, which will be good fun. That's in London as well. And then I've got one festival so far, which is in Kent, which is kind of near to me. But that's one that I played. I played there last year.
What's the name of that festival?
It's called Blue Reef Festival.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Okay.
It's quite a cool one. It's a festival which my band that I was in before, we played there in 2022, I think. Yeah, 2022. Yeah. My brother played there with his band in 2021.
Okay.
And then I played there again in 2024.
Nice.
As a solo act on the introducing stage. And then this year they've asked me to come they do this thing called the Camper Van Live Lounge. So there's like a camper van, a really old VW camper van, and they've got a little area where people kind of sit down. It's really chill vibes, and there's like maybe 5 or 6 acoustic artists who will kind of play, a few sets over the weekend and sometimes play a few songs together.
Oh, cool.
So it'll be different. It's not like a normal festival slot, but it should be good fun.
Yeah.
And then the headliners are pretty decent this year as well. They've got a band called Reef. I don't know if you've heard of Reef, but they were quite big in the 90s with one song called Place Your Hands. But because here's another one. Another connection to the hometown is the current guitarist from Reef used to run the open mic in Braunton. So I know her. Wow. She's amazing. And she only joined them recently. But I mean, she's great. She did her own kind of solo thing as well. But yeah, so now kind of I know the Reef kind of lot as well, which is quite cool. And they used to have Ronnie Wood's son playing guitar for them, Jesse.
Oh wow! Okay.
And then he left last year at some point. So then Amy's the guitarist now, which is really cool. Who else is playing? I think Happy Mondays.
Okay.
I think, but I have no idea.
So are you sold now on the solo artist gig? Like you don't have any desire to be in a band anymore?
I've got the desire to have a band, like to make my sound fuller, but not be in a band.
Yes.
But it's. I tried to get like a few band members together a couple months ago, and it was I found it really tough because going from the band where kind of all the songs were kind of written collaboratively and we were kind of went into a rehearsal space and just kind of jammed them, going from that to then all my songs being written already by me and then having to try and teach the parts to other people or kind of try and get across what I want it to sound like it's really tricky. So at the moment I've decided to just stick with just being me, and then in a year or so I can try that again, get in a band kind of situation going on. But yeah, I don't want to be in a band which is a band. I'd rather have a backing band for my solo stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
With the way it's going.
When you're recording, you're playing every instrument.
Yes. I play.
Wow.
99% of the instruments on the stuff I record.
Wow.
On the first few tunes, so we've got drums on the first few, and that was my brother.
Okay.
It's really handy. He came in and recorded the drums for me. And then I've got one mate. Well, I think it's on you. We've got some horns, and one of my mates from college did that. Yeah, so that was a fun day. So a mate from college, Harry, he did that. He's amazing at everything. So at college he was studying drums. So he's an amazing drummer. He's also, I think he's like a conductor of an orchestra at the moment.
Wow, cool.
Which is pretty cool. And then he also plays like, all the horns and stuff. So he's quite a horny guy. I always say to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So
another guy who makes wives cry, but for a different reason.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. But yeah, that wasn't recording those horns on a couple of those tracks was a fun day because it was one day up in London. I couldn't drive at the time, but Harry could. So I stayed at Harry's house one night. We woke up at like 3 a.m. And drove up to London. Did a day of recording in London, and then Harry drove us all the way back that same day.
Damn,
so it was a long day for him, especially because he was the one recording. I was just sitting there on a chair swiveling around.
Right.
But it was a really fun day, and it is really cool having actual horns on the track. But then I don't know what I was talking about before now, but I'm gonna keep on going.
Go for it.
So on the tracks that I'm releasing this year, it is just me, and then like if there is drums on a song, it's programmed in by my producer, just because it's a little bit more. It's cheaper because we don't have to, because we record all the stuff in my producer's home studio, so it's quite a small little space, so not enough to record actual drums. Because when we did record drums, we booked a studio called Core for a couple of days, which is a really cool studio. And it was a really cool experience. There's some amazing bands have been there and recorded there, like Catfish and the Bottlemen. I think recorded a lot of their debut album there, so that was really really cool. But yeah, now that these tracks that we're doing now, we're trying to do it as stripped back as possible.
Right.
But it's also going quite well to the sound that I'm evolving into, because for example, You is quite in that poppier side of things.
Yeah, right. I would say so.
And I'm kind of leaning more towards that indie folky sound. Tough is quite poppy, but it's also it's a bit grittier, a bit more of the indie folky aspect. And then Pretty Stranger is like proper indie folk acoustic guitar singer songwriter. And then I think a few of these songs, so I'm into the studio tomorrow for 4 days.
There you go.
And these songs that we're going to do this week are very, guitar, very indie folky. But
and are those
what the question was,
getting released this year too?
Yes, yeah, they will be.
Okay. Nice.
So I've got the song for this month is already done. That's already kind of ready to go. And I've got one more song which is done, but I think we're going to do a few kind of overdubs on that this week. And then we're doing 2 other songs this week as well, so that'll be the next few months sorted. Because I get in the studio at least once a month to do one song. So I'm always got songs to release, which is good.
Good.
We're doing 12 songs a year.
Do you try to release them in increments, or do you try to do the 3rd Monday of the month, or when are you releasing?
It's kind of just when we've kind of got the song done at the moment. They're always we're always doing them the last week of each month. That's just purely because of the songs, how quickly we kind of turn them around. We're not getting the master back until maybe 2 weeks before the release. So I'm getting the master back because we're getting them all mastered at Abbey Road by someone called Cicely, which is really cool. So we're getting those masters back, and then I'm straight away putting it on DistroKid, and then it's like released the week after that. So it's not like it's not like at the start of the month I'm not announcing it and kind of waiting 3 weeks. I'm announcing it, and then a week later it's out. Just because I think some people will get bored of seeing the whole, oh, it's out next week or it's out in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's like, oh, it's out next week, and then the next time they see a post, it's out. It's like,
okay, yeah, I like that.
There's more chance that they'll go and listen to it straight away, rather than be like,
sometimes if you do it too early, yeah, exactly, you do it too early, and they're like, oh yeah, and then they forget.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that was one of the things with the first few songs I released. So you did really well because that was my debut release, and all my mates, and kind of, I guess because it was the first one, it's like, oh, we better listen to this. But then the couple songs after that didn't do as well. But I think it's because I think I just left it too long in terms of I announced it and then it was out a month later. I think a month is such a long time to do like content.
It is,
and to keep people interested. So this year we're really trying that whole like 1 week we're announcing it, the next week it's out, just because people are like, they're like, fine, we can listen to it quicker.
Well, I can tell you it's working. It's worked. It's worked for Christian and I. So I think you might have nailed the secret sauce on that one.
Perfect. It's a weird one because it's like it's just trial and error, really.
Yeah,
like, you can't.
That's what we're
there is no
too.
set. Yeah, exactly. There's no set way to do things. And yeah, I mean, like podcasts as well. It's the same thing. It's kind of trial and error.
Yeah.
I've got 2 mates.
It's really tough.
In my hometown.
A lot of error, more than
mostly error. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got 2 mates who are setting up a podcast at the moment, and they called me the other day. They were like, "We have no idea how to set up these microphones," because they haven't been in any sort of music or like podcast or anything creative before. They're kind of just like, they love podcasts and they're like, we want to do our own.
Sure.
So they kind of called me up and was like, can you help us? So the last time I came down, I set up their microphones for them. I just said, don't touch anything, just press record when you need to.
Yeah, just push record. That's honestly, that's what Christian and I do too, because anytime that we unplug or do something differently, we have technical difficulties.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's like, just keep it exactly how it is. This laptop is not for anything other than this.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. It's but no, it's really interesting. And my producer actually used to do a podcast.
Right on.
Called Colin Brain, which is him, versus the MCU.
Okay, nice.
Basically, he doesn't really, not that he doesn't like Marvel, but he has never really watched Marvel. And then I think 2 of his mates are like Marvel like super fans. So I think they would make him watch a Marvel film, and then they would talk about it. And I think he was saying they actually did like decently well with that. But then I think it's also because he's a producer, he was producing it to like the highest standard he possibly could.
That makes a big difference.
Does he want to do podcast work for free?
Well,
because we really could use one.
Yeah, no, it is so tricky though, isn't it? Like
it is
anything.
It's such a pain.
Yeah, anything creative that's got to go on Spotify or YouTube is a pain.
It's especially because like Damien's in Los Angeles, I'm in the middle of America, and then you're in the UK, which is bonkers. We can even do this.
I know, it's crazy. Yeah.
Aspects, and so it's sometimes it gets a little tricky. Depending on. We've had some guests where they their microphone was just the laptop, and you can hear it.
Yeah.
You just can't produce that away. But.
No, exactly. It's tricky.
But because you are doing this, releasing a song every month, we're getting to the end here. And so I want to ask you the same question that we ask any music artist, which is, would you be willing to maybe send us one of your songs, whether it's the song that has not released yet this month, or maybe, the one that's releasing the month after, or whatever you want. But Absolutely. We'd love to not just have you on the podcast and get to know you a little bit, but we'd love to showcase one of your songs.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean that'd be great. Yeah, I'll send you any song you can choose.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I think it would
be
cool.
Let people cry or not?
I think we've already discovered that that's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
But this does come out in a couple weeks, so I don't know if that lines up to
perfect.
Pretty close to when your next one comes out.
I'll send you the next one.
So we could kind of release them at the same time.
Yeah, 100%.
So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to my wife crying again.
Well, the next song's slightly more upbeat, so hopefully you won't be crying.
Okay, perfect. We'll just party then.
Yeah, exactly. Well, maybe not party. Kind of like a slow bop.
All right, we'll dance.
Yes. There we go. That's it. We found it.
Yes, perfect. All right, before we go ahead and let people know where they can find you, your social medias, anything that you want to plug real quick. If you have any upcoming shows, anything like that.
So all my social medias are Luke McAuley Music, Spotify, Apple, Deezer, and anything like that. I'm on all streaming services, YouTube. My next show is in Brighton, if anyone's in Brighton, or London at the end of May. I don't know when this is, because it's probably going to come out after the Brighton show. But yeah, London, if you're around London,
send us your shows. We'll put them in the description.
Perfect. And yeah, if you like sad, cry to music, I'm your guy.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for coming on, Luke.
Thank you so much.
It was really, really fun. Is the song that you're sending us, is it Sicily?
Is it?
Is that what you said?
No, it's they're being mastered by someone called Sicily. The next song is called Hope.
Hope. Yes. Well, I hope that we can cut that part out because that was embarrassing.
Keeping it.
Keeping it. All right. Well, thank you for coming on, man.
Yes,
and
thank you for having me.
Everybody tune in to listen to Hope right after this. And as always, bye.
Bye.
As the shadows gather round and my heart is beating out, I'm left lying on the ground with no way to get up and out. I wish upon a star to help and guide me out the dark, but as the shadows gather round, my heart, my soul sees no way out. I see the light shine up ahead, and your eyes shine so bright it fills my head with so much hope, with so much hope. As you offer me your hand, my mind was speechless, so I said, can you just tell me what's your name? Are you a stranger passing by? I still remember that smile and that laugh, and then you said, no need to worry about a thing, 'cause I've got you until the end. And I see your light shine up ahead, your eyes shine so bright it fills my head with so much hope, with so much hope. Like the sun breaking out of the clouds on a stormy day, with so much hope. So much